If there's one thing I had a hard time understanding while growing up was this whole masculine, feminine, energy, roles, whatever you want to call them. Growing up, nobody in my house talked about it, and looking back, I thank my lucky stars because it seems that I had the privilege of growing up with parents, not stereotypes, you know? So if you've never seen a gender-neutral family, stick around, my friends, because you're in for a doozy. In my house, there was no division of tasks specific for women or for men. If there were things to do, and there were always things to do, we all cleaned, we all cooked, we all worked together if there was something to do, and this is what also made it so easy to spend a lot of time together, teaching me all sorts of things to the point that I do not remember my parents ever doing something without me. I mean, not literally, of course, but these people spent every waking moment making sure I never feel like a burden. So the feeling I grew up with is I belong here. I'm wanted. They're so excited to spend time with me, and it breaks my heart to see how many children don't receive that. Quite the opposite. Many times they're treated almost as if the parents are doing them a favor by spending time with them. Like, that's weird to me, and it has all sorts of psychological ramifications, but you know what? Let's keep that for another video. Bottom line is that every chore was an opportunity for my parents to drag me into something and teach me about life. So cooking and cleaning and fixing stuff and buying groceries, it didn't really matter. If they were doing it, then I was doing it too and learning something. So because nobody talked about this masculine, feminine nonsense in my family, it was as if it didn't really exist for me. Part of that was thanks to the fact that they didn't raise me in an organized religion, so there was no priest or holy book telling me who should be soft and who should be strong or what are my womanly duties. I mean, it sounds ridiculous even to say it out loud. Yes, my mom cooked more and my dad fixed things more, but not because of roles. It was because they were always working as a team. Like, if my mom started to cook, my dad started to look around for things to do as well, regardless if it was, you know, cleaning or spending time with me. Actually, now that I think about it, I never saw my mom working while my dad just sat around, and I never saw my dad working while my mom did nothing. That's not an image I have in my head. The rule in our house was very simple. We are a team, period. If one of us is working, we are all working. And if one of us is resting, then we're all resting. And my parents had that mentality because they had a common enemy. Communism, or, you know, rather the devastating poverty caused by it. I'll say something a bit controversial, I guess, but sticking up to gender roles like she only cooks and cleans and he only provides and protects happens only if you're very wealthy, okay? Otherwise, for the rest of us mortals, there's only work. I grew up in poverty for the first 7 years of my life, after which my parents created a steady financial growth because they were both working. Like, you know, that tread wife image you see online, you know, with the woman being so soft and so calm and just, she's completely in this energy of softness and bitch, what? Like, listen, the closest thing to a realistic tread wife I've ever seen and that you will ever see is my grandma, okay? She cooked, she cleaned, she took care of the children, yes, but also worked her fucking ass off with my grandpa on the fields, taking care of animals, which, if you know anything about farms, it's a lot of fucking work. I personally have never seen this woman rest. Not even now at almost 90 years old. She just keeps working, you know, almost like a reflex from the way she lived her entire life. I guess that's one of the things that I really don't understand about this entire tread wife movement. That life never existed except for a very short period of time in the US in the 50s and 60s. And it probably and most probably existed because these women were drugged out of their mind. Not to be crude, of course, but they were, for God's sakes. And that's the thing. A realistic tread wife doesn't have the time to move slowly like that. You know, like many of these influencers show. No, a realistic tread wife doesn't have the luxury to think about content creation and doesn't dress fabulously or even in an aesthetic clothes, you know, because realistically, you wake up at 5 in the morning and until 11 in the evening, you work non-stop. That means your hair will look like a mess. You'll have completely trashed your pretty dress from food stains or kids' hands on you, animals, dirt from working the fields and soil and so on and so forth. And so, like, listen, there's no one more tread wife than my grandma, okay? And I promise she didn't look put together at all. She wasn't in her feminine or whatever other fucking nonsense associated with this trend. She was a woman who took care of her family, house, fields, animals, and there wasn't anything glorious about it, okay? That's why our mothers, our grandmothers talked to us girls in private any fucking chance they got and told us to not get married, to change things, to not allow our lives to be like theirs. It wasn't because our grandmas were so happy with that lifestyle. It was because they were trapped, which is again why I say that this form of modern trad wife is actually just being very, very fucking rich. Like this thing of the wife that only does these tasks, that always has a smile on her face because her whole life is raising children and taking care of the husband, is very, very privileged. You need a lot of fucking money for that type of lifestyle. And not to mention, these trad wives are kind of hypocrites, okay? Because you say that your man provides, but here you are making money online when you're encouraging other women to not have an income and just be a wife. Okay then, but like, which one is it? Like, if I'm Nora Smith, I have a team of people working for me. I have people helping me take care of my children while I do my videos. I have like a whole company almost that I run, people to manage. So that's not being a trad wife, right? Like, I don't know, maybe I don't get how these things work, maybe I'm missing something, but to me it's giving cognitive dissonance or bullshit. That works too. Plus, I think there is a reason you don't see women over 40 encouraging other women to be trad wives. But hey, that's just my opinion, right? So the first time I ever heard about masculine and feminine roles, not even energies, was when I was much older. It was around 22 or something, 24 maybe. And honestly, it came from a man I should have run from much earlier. I remember we broke up and he said to me, you should really learn to be more feminine or something like that. I don't even remember. And what I do remember thinking was,
what the fuck does that even mean?
I have a vagina, I identify as a woman, so like that's kind of the end of the checklist, my man. Now, he was furious that I didn't understand his point, and I was equally confused that he thought I should. I didn't realize it yet, but that was the beginning of a bizarre discovery in my world. Many people never developed an identity beyond these roles, and that's why they were so mad at me for just, opting out. And don't get me wrong, I had as many women as men being appalled at the fact that, for instance, I believe the first date should be split, like the bill, because both of my parents taught me that. My dad, for instance, explained how it's the easiest thing for a man to throw money at you because that's not an indication of anything. For a lot of men, relationships are already transactional. They're used to a rhythm of I do something, I get something back. And that rhythm becomes their definition of connection in time. You see, he knew that because he was that way. And so he advised me to keep in mind that my goal wasn't to enter a dynamic where we both start keeping score, right? Me, did he pay? Him, did she put out? Like, that's quite sad. Okay, so my goal was to understand who this person actually is without any sense of obligation or performance. Now, listen, I don't think that if someone pays for your dinner or your coffee, you suddenly owe them anything. I don't believe in that, but I do think that in many people's minds, an open tab is still an open tab, especially for men, because most are raised with a very transactional mindset, but truth is, so are women. And it's working against everyone, actually. A man paying for your date is like them buying a gym membership. I think we all know it doesn't mean we will actually go. Or at least this is in my case. I don't know about you guys. Like, paying for a date is like Venmoing someone $50 when they're moving houses. It's helpful, sure, but it's also the easiest way to avoid effort. That's why money is the lowest form of care. That's why we have the trope of the husband cheating on their wife and buying her an expensive present or a spa retreat, or whatever the fuck. It's because it doesn't mean anything, you see. Now, you have no idea how many women were outraged in hearing this. The fact I had the sheer audacity to suggest the main way they measure a man's worth is flawed made them so angry. I also had, of course, good conversations around it, but it's surprising to see how many people don't really get it. But anyway, all to say that because my parents had such a balanced and realistic approach to identity beyond gender, I thought of sharing the basic rules they taught me throughout the years in such a way for you to maybe also benefit from them. I don't know. Let's start with the first one. My dad taught me early on to never let